We haven't seen a 1,000-point move like this since the middle of the crash. When we were in the bear market, we were seeing 8% down days, 4 or 5% up days. It was a very volatile time, and you would see regular moves like this. And it was not uncommon to see moves like this. It was just almost expected. But we've kind of been in this flat period now, albeit volatile, but flat on the month period. And we had a massive explosion today on the upside. What happened here? In the morning, we got very good news out of Moderna. They've got a vaccine, and that's the one thing we seem to need. That's going to be the end of COVID when we have a vaccine. That was the end of measles. That was the end of every other virus that's been eradicated has been the existence and the development of a vaccine and then the adoption of that vaccine so people don't get it, so people don't spread it. And positive news on the COVID vaccine is great. And this was fantastically positive news. 8 out of 8 people developed antibodies equal to or greater than the antibodies developed in someone who already had COVID. And from what we understand, somebody who has had COVID can't really, obviously it's biology, so nothing's perfect, can't really get COVID again. There are antibodies, which are essentially your body's military against an intruding virus. So to see that this vaccine can make them greater or better than somebody already having had the virus, they need the antibodies to fight it off, is a very telling sign. Now let's check that. It's very early in the development and the process of this vaccine. The results look very solid, but it was only in young people. Let's see how it fares in old people. Essentially what you're doing is you're giving people COVID. So we need to extend this trial onto a much larger group of people, make sure it doesn't affect people of different ages, and see what happens there. Now, the market, as we know, rallied very aggressively. What does this mean? Well, we kind of felt like we were at fair value, and right now, it kind of feels like we're at fair value. I'm not trying to discount the vaccine news, but there's a lot more potential downside than there is potential upside from this level. So while I am a long-term bull, I am a hesitant buyer on a day like this. I didn't really do anything in the buying category. I bought a little bit on a stock I like that's down. I took a very little bit off of some things, did a little bit of a trade, but that was it. I'm not doing a whole lot today. The market's moving. I'm just saying, it's good news. It's coming out. The market should move. It's a little bit of an aggressive move for me, though. We don't see moves like this in a regular time, which tells me, again, that this is not a regular time. But I was hoping to be in a more regular time. A lot's known. There's a lot of economic damage. We're kind of just taking a wait-and-see approach. And, the states are starting to open, so there's optimism. So the economy's opening up again. So there's reason to start being optimistic. What we know is that the worst case scenario has been avoided. We are not having hospital beds, having to decide whether or not somebody gets a hospital bed and decide whether or not somebody gets a ventilator and seeing hospitals overflow. And that is not happening. That is not going to happen. And that crisis has been averted. So there's positive news in that. There's obviously the vaccine. But all of this was known last week. All of this is known now. The vaccine, it's optimistic, but if you ask me, it should send Moderna up. It shouldn't send the entire market up 4%. That's a lot for me. It's a lot for me to stomach. So I'm just a little hesitant to do anything here. It just feels a little too hot. Now, the momentum could keep going up. I would not complain about that. But I'm mentally prepared to see some pullback, to see some downside. I'm not going to say that I see a pullback happening tomorrow. I just don't know. I just don't know. We're kind of in that territory where it's just like, I don't know what the market is going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to my positions that I like and just hold them on. And if I see anything dip or some new news comes out that I like, I'll move on that. I just think the market is getting a little too hot right now. And as they say, be fearful when others are greedy. Seems like some people are being a little greedy on this news. So do what you want with that. Do what you want with that. Until next time. Peace.